Welcome back to Classic Large Car Garage. Today we're going to work on getting the PT pump back on that we took down to Area Diesel Service, and we're actually going to show the footage of that where we did a tour of their facilities and how they service and repair and rebuild like turbos and injection pumps. So we're going to go to that footage and then we'll come back and show the PT pump on. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're down at Area Diesel Services where we took the fuel pump for our 1982 Cabover that we named Frank. So we're going to do a little interview here. We've got Curtis.
Howdy.
And he's going to take us through his shop here and kind of show us how they do stuff and what they work on. So we'll follow you.
All right, so we're just going to kind of follow a dirty one through the process. We didn't realize we were building this one for a fellow YouTuber, so we missed the full feature. But we've got one of those. We can drop you a link to it, but we'll show you just kind of a crude overview of how this goes down. So these guys brought us their broken dirty pump. This is the finished product, and we're going to walk through and kind of follow the process. So all right, so everything kind of starts in the teardown room, right? Whenever we get a pump in, whether it be across the counter or through the shipping department, we'll write it up and document it there and bring it back and stage it here for the production department. So everything's been tagged and dated for when it came in, who it's from, what it is. You can actually see we start a work order, put that information on the tag. So as soon as it comes in, it gets documented and written up. It's a VE pump. It's on this work order. It's a rebuild and return, right? And this is the administrative side, so service writers and customer service. And then when the tech gets to that particular pump, they've each got their own teardown bay, right? So this kind of replicates the build-up room, but this is the dirty and crude side of the operation. So each of these different bays is tooled up for a couple of different specific kinds of pumps, right? So he's doing rotary pumps here. We do inlines down the way. They've got all the right sockets and adapters and a couple of different abrasive cabinets. We've got plastic beads and glass beads. So first thing we do when we get them in is clean them up, right? So we've got high pressure wash cabinet, throw them in there, blast all the schmoo off of them. We've got solvent tanks and then sonic cleaners, right? So we'll clean them up, dry them off, then we'll blast them, and then we'll hit those teardown benches, scatter them, throw away the scrap iron, throw away the gaskets and seals, take whatever's good, and we'll take them up to a build-up room. Jeffro happens to be working on a PT pump right there. Looks like he's putting drive in one of them. Yep. So we actually hit his room since he is the PT pump man. And conveniently, it looks like he's got one staged up. So the one that he's knocking the drive shaft into right now has gone through the process, right? All of the components have been torn down, cleaned up, inspected, and he's got his gasket kit spread out. He's got his parts staged out on the bench, and he's actually getting ready to put this pump back together. So he went out there to push the drive shaft in. He'll bring it back in here, mount it up on his vise, start putting these 10 million pieces back inside of this pump. And then once he gets it done, he'll go out to calibration.
At one point, what do you deem that a pump is non-rebuildable? Like what have you seen as an example is like, yeah, well, this thing's too far gone?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like wrecking your car, right? At what point is it illogical to repair your pump? They can all be repaired, I guess. Theoretically, you just keep replacing stuff until it's fixed. Eventually, you've got everything replaced, and you know, was the unit totaled, right? If you would have brought your pump in and it would have been rusted and seized and completely looked like it living on the bottom of the ocean, we probably would have said, why don't we throw yours away? We've got 10,000 of those cores, and we'll just build you one from our stash. It's going to cost you a little more because you have to buy a core.
Sure.
But your pump, could it be fixed? Yeah. Does it make sense to spend $3,000 whenever I've got enough good ones I can build you one for $1,000 or whatever it is? So
So do you have some on your shelf already that are already like rebuilt, or do you kind of wait till a customer says, well, I kind of want this kind of specification to it? Or
so the common high running pumps, right? So there's, you know, whatever, John Deere 4020 pump, right? Everybody's got a 4020, so we keep 5 of those on the shelf. There are some Cummins PT pumps from common arrangements that we keep in stock. But if you have an oddball machine, probably not going to have an exchange unit for you.
Sure.
You're probably going to have to send us yours, or we may still be able to build it, but we probably aren't going to have one painted up and ready to go. Kind of depends on how obscure it is, but the pump you have is very common. So this is calibration and verification for the pump we did for you. It's basically a flow meter and a pressure gauge, and there is a test plan for your pump, and it says at this number of RPMs the pump should be producing X amount of flow and X amount of pressure, right? So flow gauge is here, pressure gauge is here. We can feed it fictitious boost pressure and replicate all the different scenarios that that pump's going to be exposed to, and make sure that throughout the torque range or the torque curve we're getting proper fuel delivery. And of course these guys know the magic screws and special springs to potentially get a little bit more out of it if that is what your heart desires. So this one's a little different. PT pump is a lot different than traditional fuel injection, where a normal pump line injector system is delivering a specific quantity to the cylinder, right? This is a PT, which is pressure and time, and it's basically just a supply pump, right? And then the injectors are cam actuated, and there's also another pumping element inside of the injector. So this pump is basically supplying and charging the injector, and the higher amount of pressure you charge it with, the more fuel it's going to inject. So as opposed to traditional pump line injector systems, right, we are going to measure specific quantities of fuel being delivered to specific cylinders, and then the balance would be to make sure that they all fire or deliver the same amount, and that what we call phasing, right, is, you know, if it's a 4-cylinder, it's going to deliver every 90 degrees. 90.
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah. So every 90 degrees are we charging a cylinder. So
okay.
And then we have several different machines, right? We kind of keep them all tooled up for different types of pumps. Inlines on the back, rotaries here, VEs. This one is 100 series pumps. This is cam box. This is PT pumps like we just discussed. This is kind of vintage test equipment. And then here's a little bit more modern generation. So instead of having graduates back here, we've got these fancy doodads, and the pump now has its own computer on it. So instead of turning a screw and moving a valve, we're running it on the pump, typing in different calibrations, and loading a program into the pump to modify its delivery and to verify its functionality. So, and then from here it basically goes to common rail. We don't do common rail in this facility, but we definitely do common rail, right? So we have a clean room type of environment and another facility down the road where we do common rail pumps and injectors, and the equipment there is just another iteration newer than this stuff. So that is roughly Fuel Injection Shop 101.
Okay, and then you have, I guess you also service turbochargers. Is there anything else that you guys typically will get into as far as the...
So we sell other components, but as far as actual bench work, it is fuel injection and turbochargers. Roughly 2/3 of our operation is turbocharger, at least by revenue. Some of that is just boxes that we distribute, and I would say roughly 3/4 of our operation by man hours at the bench is probably fuel injection. So we service a lot more fuel injection, but we ship a lot more turbocharger stuff. And we can walk through that side too if you want to see it. But
sure, let's do it.
All right. Yeah, so this is some of those, this is all stuff coming into the back of the fuel shop. So, wow. And we talked about some of those pumps that we keep in stock or exchange. Some of these are for specific customers where we do kind of a private label type of arrangement. You would likely be surprised to learn the different outlets where you could get a pump that's been rebuilt by Area Diesel Service. But this is all headed into the back of the fuel shop. And this is all headed in to the back of the turbo shop. These guys will likely throw us out of here pretty quickly, but similar model, just a different product, right? So this is the dirty side. Tear them down on these benches here where they're greasy and grimy. And we've got similar, we've got a bake oven, we've got solvent tanks, we've got all these different blast cabinets. Same thing, tear them down, identify what's good, figure out what you're gonna need, insert some of the machine shop to salvage these components, and then they'll come back up here. And this is the clean side of the turbo operation. So here you can see one that he's already built. So that came in looking nasty and dirty, and it's gonna go out looking fresh and clean. So that one looks like he's got a run of 4. He's got a couple there. These are all one-off, probably repair and returns. He's got something in the clean side that he's tearing down. What do you got? Is that a warranty or repair and return, or? Not supposed to be tearing down. What are you tearing down in here for? Repair and return. Same thing. This is kind of the staging area, right? So we keep everybody's stuff together. This is a customer sent in a turbo. They've torn it down. They're probably working on locating the parts and estimating the repairs. Once they get all that figured out and authorization, then we'll rebuild it, get it shipped back out. So
I know I had a experience. I didn't realize you guys were down here, and I had a 1968 Cabover Freightliner, and it had a I think it was like a T50 turbo on it. It was on a Cummins 335 Cummins, but it had one of those 6-bolt flanges that mounts to the manifold. Well, like trying to find one online to replace it, like a reman, like nobody had them.
Yep.
So I talked with this place down in Texas, like, oh yeah, ship it down to us, we'll rebuild it. So I shipped it down to them. They never got it.
They never got it?
Don't know what happened to it. Thankfully, I put insurance on it, and I got a little bit of money back, but then I ended up having to call Cummins and being like, hey, I need something that's gonna work on this motor. So I had to put a new manifold on it, a different turbo. So
it's probably been 5 or 7 years, but we went to an auction and we bought a lifetime supply of those 6-bolt exhaust housings.
Yeah.
So in fact, there's probably some out in the warehouse. You can take one home as a replica. All right, so this is machine shop. So in between both of those sides of both of those operations, sometimes a component requires some work that the technician over there is not capable of doing, right? And here's a prime example of one in process. You can see this big bubblegum weld, right? So that pump came in and the mounting flange was busted off. So that looks like hell right now. We can pull it down if you can.
yeah, there you go. Picking up the sun from behind it. There
So
you go.
it looks like hell right now, but this ear basically would have been busted off on this side.
Sure.
So they're welding that back up, and then they'll come in and skin it off and then mill out the slot, and we'll repair that housing. So
Yeah.
instead of having to buy a housing that might be $1,000 or potentially is not even available, the machine shop back here will fix these types of things. And it really started pretty basic many years ago, right? It was a bench top lathe and a drill press, we might have been fixing threads or turning a shaft. Here they're going to rebush a housing. And then that has developed today into a pretty modern and elaborate machine shop where we have lots of CNC equipment, and we're doing a large variety of different types of work. A lot of it is still salvage work where we're saving a component, trying to save a buck, trying to make a little bit more profit. A lot of it is custom modified, so tractor and truck pulling stuff. A lot of it is obsolete components that we need to feed these guys so they can keep building these old relics. And some of it is sublet work for other shops like ourselves that don't house these capabilities in-house. So again, it's a kind of a similar model. There's an administration area here. This is where they do design work and programming and customer service. And then once they get the project ciphered out, they pass it out to the shop floor, and this is where the magic happens. So Jimmy stands in between these 3 CNC machines, and sometimes you'll see him working across all 3 of them, keeping them all fed. Come on, we need somebody good looking in our video. Got Jimmy.
Come on first.
What are you doing, Gary?
Cutting these out for bigger wheels. How's that?
So, common modification.
Yeah.
This looks like a compressor housing off of a Caterpillar Acert turbo, and the customer wants to put a bigger compressor wheel in it. So,
the turbine housing.
and same thing on the exhaust side.
Yeah.
So they'll send in the housings, we'll do the machine work, they'll put them back together. So this one happens to be for another well-known performance turbo shop, but behind the scenes their work is happening at Area Diesel.
Yep.
So, thank you.
So how many employees are at this location? Because there's 3 locations for Area Diesel, is that correct? And
Yeah.
This is kind of the original.
This is the original, yes. And there's actually 3 locations in Carlinville, and then there's what we call 3 locations, right? One in Illinois, one in Iowa, and one in Indiana. But this place has been added on to, I think, 5 times. That's why it's such a maze to get through here. And then we outgrew it again, and we ended up buying some other buildings. So we have a large facility, just, you can almost see it from here, where we do core storage and core processing. So if we sell you an exchange item, it goes back over there and gets processed and fed back into the machine. And then, like we said, Common Rail is down at a different facility. And then Indianapolis is a warehouse, and Des Moines is a warehouse, and they do drive-in repair. So,
Okay.
but all of the bench work rebuilding really happens in Carlinville. So,
Okay. And so how many, I don't know if we answered that, how many employees do you know?
there are 50 total, and there are about 30 of them here,
Okay.
roughly.
And so what's all this stuff on the shelves? These are just new items, rebuilt items.
This is the warehouse, yep. So this is the inventory that is ready to go. This left side is primarily turbochargers in stock and available to be sold and shipped same day, right? That's kind of our position in the market, is we are the ones that deploy the product into the field rapidly, right? So the names on those boxes, they manufacture them, we buy them from them, we stock them and distribute them. When your truck breaks down, it's our gig to get you the product quickly. That's where we fit into the distribution chain. So this is all product. It might have been purchased, it might have been built, but it is all available and ready to be sold. And again, that's just one warehouse. Indianapolis holds more turbochargers than we do here, and Des Moines has about the same amount. So those are turbos ready to go. This is kind of overflow. These are turbos. And then we get into what we call A parts. So these are previously lived turbocharger subcomponents where we have torn down a core and harvested the subcomponent for a future rebuild. So
Sure.
if you call in and need a turbo, we don't have to start from day one with a dirty core, right? We've already got a bunch of them scattered because we know we need a bunch of these housings, we need a bunch of those wheels, right? Some of the components have already been through the machining process. Like you can see, this is a back plate for a Garrett turbo. It is an A part indicating that it's previously lived. The bearing surface is standard and the seal area is oversized. So it's been used before, but it's been cleaned up, inspected, machined, pickled, inventoried, and ready to go. And then it gets into new components for turbochargers because you can't save them all.
Sure.
And then fuel injection components, so all those little valves and seals and gaskets and shims, and then a few of what are the common injection pumps that we keep in stock on an exchange basis.
Sure. So if somebody, instead of saying, hey, rebuild mine, they can just say, I'll exchange it and you guys can have my old one type of deal.
Yeah, some people, it struck me as odd, but they have sentimental value in their injection pump. They specifically want theirs back.
Sure.
Which is fine. We get a lot of people, we might have it in stock, but they want theirs built because they know where it came from. They know it, they've maintained the tractor for its whole life or whatever. So
yeah, it came from that engine. It knows that engine in a way type of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
And then this is shipping and receiving. So once we get done, comes in here, final packet, down the rollers, put a shipping label on it, get it back out the door. So
okay, so they have that option. They can send stuff to you, and then
yeah, we get more of it sent in than we do brought in because we're out here in the middle. As you know, now we're in the middle of nowhere. And it's especially when we started doing the YouTube thing, we've tapped the new audience. So we get stuff coming in from all corners of the country and even globally. It's been pretty interesting to see what has turned up from our exposure on YouTube. So
yeah,
it's been good.
We'll put your YouTube channel there in the description, and then we can even put it across the screen. And we really appreciate you working on ours for us and making it. Honestly, it looks too nice.
We can go back there and get some schmoo and slap it on there if you want.
That was my first thought. It's going to look too nice. Now it's like, where do you stop? I got to rebuild the rest of the truck.
It's going to stand out on the engine, isn't it?
Yep. So really appreciate you, Lucas, for taking us on a tour there. And like I said, we'll share all their information, and you can check them out. And thanks for watching.
See yous.
All right. Getting this PT pump back on. Here's where it mounts to the back side of the compressor. And one of the things before we put it back on, I was going to show is this. Not quite sure what you would call this. What do you call this? We'll call it a star wheel. So basically that mesh is in there, and then that connects with the compressor there. But this piece, this is a new piece that they gave us down there at the Area Diesel Service. And yeah, the old one had some significant wear to it, so that'll be a lot nicer. Other than that, we got our gasket and the man.
I'm the dude, so that's what you call me,
Travie boy's gonna get her put back on. We'll be back. Alrighty then, Travis got the pump on. It's looking mighty fine. Oh, let's get us in here. Got all of his electrical on, and most of the fuel rail lines are on, of course. And then it's all bolted up. We do not have the feed line. The return line's still hooked up because he didn't take that off, but because that goes to a different part. Feed line's still here, so we're gonna do a little bit more, but we're gonna do that in the next video, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Huge thanks to the Area Diesel Services for rebuilding that pump for us. And like I said, we're not going to start it in this video because we've got some more work we want to do before we run fuel through that new pump. So stay tuned. We'll see you in the next one.